we have right now transplants ready for the fall. We do transplants all summer long here. We will grow out different kinds of basically greens that we plant throughout the summertime. We'll plant out eggplant, we'll plant out basils. So there's a lot of stuff we keep going through the summertime. Right now we've got mustards, kale, collards, broccoli, lettuces, kohlrabis, all sorts of good stuff that are just ready to hit the ground here in October. So they need about another week or two on some of them. Some of them are going out this week. We did our first lettuces this week, so we'll see if it lasts or not. That's a big risk. It's a big gamble. It could burn up, but they could work. What else do we do here? We do almost all seeding. No, we don't do any sticking or cuttings or anything like yet. And Marta is doing the seeding right now.
Marta.
Say hola, Marta.
Hi, Marta.
And that behind us over there, we can walk that way and go towards our packing shed. So I think Amy's going to lead the way over there.
Yeah,
while we're around, we'll get up over here into the driveway, and you guys can ask me any questions you got about our packing or about our seeding process while we're here at the greenhouse.
What do you do for your potting mix?
I was just about to walk by it here. This is called SunGrow, or not SunGrow. This is FOF10. That's what we're using right now.
Do you add anything to it?
No, that's already ready to go.
Where do you source it?
We get it down from Southern Ag. Yep, that's probably the best. You can get it from BWI.
Is it soilless?
No, yes, I believe it is. Yes, it's peat. I think it's peat and perlite, pretty much. But
Do you have pine? Is there pine bark in it?
I have to check the mix on this
Yeah.
one. We've used FOF10 and FOF30, and the 10 is the seedling mix for the germination.
Yeah.
And so we still do some fertility. It's got like a little tag on it that says FOF10.
Yeah, I don't.
Should-
It definitely has some peat in there.
Yeah, it's about 90%. We checked the formula the other day. It's 90% peat and 10% perlite. But we get it through Southern Ag, so they sell the Fafford product, and that's the best place to get it I know of right now. You can do BWI as well. We used to get it from them, so it depends where you're at. Other than that, let's see. We put it, in transplant trays, and we basically seed it. We have an air seeder in there that we can use. A lot of seeds are just better using it by hand once you get the really good technique, So we also set up these mini wobblers, if anybody can see those in there. There's been a pretty nice blessing of using them around the greenhouse and stuff. They fill up the area with a nice spray and really minimize the watering that we do in there. So I'd recommend those mini wobblers for a lot of applications on the farm. Just get creative with them. Really simple.
How often do you water?
Once a day, sometimes twice a day.
For how long?
Depends. Really depends on how dry they are. Not that long. It's about 20 minutes.
Does somebody manually turn it on, or do you have it on a timer?
We do manually turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe in automatic timers here because the weather's not automatic.
Right.
You need to get out there and observe it at least once a day, or that'd be preferable.
John, we have a few folks that just joined us.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the farm in general.
The farm in general.
What do you do? How long have you been here?
Where you're standing right now was nothing but pine stumps and bahia grass 5 years ago, and we had this house up here up front, the one with the green roof. My wife and I moved in that family. I moved out of that house before we had a family, and started this farm when there was basically just an old pad here and nothing else. And we eventually made the first packing shed the first year, the little tiny auxiliary cooler, which is still in use over there, that white auxiliary cooler. That was our first cooler. And then about a year and a half after that, we grew so big that we needed a bigger packing shed. And so we came up with this thing. And this was our best guess of how to use shipping containers and a clear span roof. And we love it. It keeps us really cool in the summertime. It keeps us protected from the north wind in the wintertime. Has the capacity to hold a large amount of crops on both containers. So we have the right container made into a refrigerator. Left container is a hot box for sweet potatoes that we are curing right now. And so they're staying around like 80 to 85 degrees, 80 degrees in their curing process in there. So in the bays down here, we do our washing every day. And so Frog Song's been packing for farmers markets since 2012. And we now do about 40%, 50% of our business is in the farmers markets. We also do a lot of wholesale and CSA sales as well. And so we have trucks that come and pick up here hopefully every day. That's our goal, is to have somebody come by every day and pick up some crops. And we do farmers markets, especially on Saturdays and sometimes during the middle of the week. In Gainesville, we do the Wednesday farmers market. So if any of you guys are local, come see us there. Other than that, what else do we got about Frog Song? here, Amy is a really good describer of the business here.
So I'll just say just a couple quick words just in terms of the expansion and the growth of the business. So like John said, when we started with this property here, which is from where we're standing over to that tree line over there, and that was 6 acres. And then we started leasing 15 acres over here behind us. And then last year we had the opportunity working with USDA on a farm ownership loan and farm credit jointly financed the purchase of 57 acres, including what we had been leasing. So now we're up to about 63 acres, and we won't be able to plant all of that. It's not all planted yet, but we are actually producing crops on about 30 or so acres. We also work with Jenny Franklin, who's here, and have certified organic crops at the property that she has in High Springs, which has some of the persimmons and chestnuts, some of the tree crops that you don't see here, but we do have tree crops getting established here that are younger. So we've basically started with a small piece of land and then tried to get access to more spaces to grow. And a big part of that is just having room for crop rotation, to grow enough cover crops, and then now we've incorporated animals a little bit. So we've done that with a crew. We started just me and John, and then we started hiring on staff little by little. And then the last couple of seasons, we have brought in guest workers. And so some of the folks that you see here are seasonal crew, and we actually work with the Department of Labor and Customs and Immigration to arrange for work visas for people, pay for the travel, bring them here, and they can go back and forth safely to and from their homes. So that's been really integral for us to have a reliable, skilled labor crew during the high points of the season, and then we do have a lot of year-round full-time staff that stays here locally. So it's kind of a mixture. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
That's pretty good.
What we've been doing. And we go as far as Winter Park in terms of going south to the farmers market down there. We do a lot of restaurant business in Orlando, and then we also have gone to Jacksonville. We do St. Augustine, and we sell a lot here in Gainesville. So. And if anybody wants to come to our 5th anniversary party, ask Cody for a flyer. We're going to have a pig roast with one of these pigs you see here, and we'll have a party up under the tree over there. So,
How many full-time employees do you have?
right now about 13.
13?
Yeah.
And do you provide housing for the?
Yeah, we have to provide housing, pay for travel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty good gig for both sides. I mean, it's great.
Okay.
The loan program that you used, is it part of the CSA, or is it all USDA?
No, the loan program I mentioned, that's totally separate from our CSA. It's just through the it's through the USDA, and you have to fill out a lot of paperwork. For anybody is there anybody that's like starting an operation or wants to get started, or is everybody already farming? Okay, keep records of whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter how small, if it's a quarter acre, 1/10 of an acre, just keep your records for 3 years, and then they'll talk to you about lending you money.
Can you tell me about the soil composition here and how much amendments you have to do?
John is
Yeah.
a dirt king, like officially. So
We can do that when we walk around.
Okay.
Let me do the greenhouse stuff first, and then we'll work on that because we're gonna right by some open soil. So come on this way, guys.
All right, baby.
So today in the package side, we're milling peas. We're getting southern peas packaged. We already did a whole morning of packing radishes, packing greens, packing hibiscus. So we have a lot of stuff in the ground right now that we're harvesting. This is one of our diversifications of revenue here. We do raise hogs on our organic crops. So these pigs right here have gotten to eat organic peas for the last 5 weeks as they moved down this whole strip. It was a nice lush crop of peas, and they got into it early, and they just wrapped up on the very last block this week, and next week they'll be going to something else, something that'll be tasty. They get sweet corn in the spring and the summer. They get peas. Right now I think they're going to sweet potatoes next. That's their next move. So they'll put on even more weight as they hit the sweet potato train, and they're pretty big already. Some of these guys are over 200 pounds.
Do you supplement, or you just feed them on the
We
residue?
do supplement. We do countryside organic grain, based feed.
Right.
And they get, I don't know what our ration is right now. It depends on how hungry they are.
Right.
And if they're full of other good stuff, then we really minimize their feed ration. But if it's, like the last few days of some patch like this that doesn't have anything left, they might need a little bit more feed today, But then they're ready to go into it when they get to the next patch too. So it's all just kind of a movement, and when you have time and resources to get them to the other side of the farm.
What size do you harvest them at?
Anything from where they're at right now. Yeah. and then anything upwards. You know, basically until you gotta have them sold. Basically, you don't you don't want to put too much in the freezer.
Who's your processor?
We use Mobley's out of Lake City.
Okay.
Yep. All right, watch the big puddle here. It looks like we had some irrigation water on the ground. All right, you guys want to see what we're doing in the hoop houses, in the high tunnels. This is why you came out today. I agree right now, it looks good. Because thank God we have a nice crop of greens, and this is what pays the bills. Then we got peppers over here. This is what we wish for. We hope that the peppers will pay the bills.
When were these planted?
These were planted about, I want to say a month ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks ago, probably on the peppers, and we had some replants too. But basically, you got a little bit of weeds in the arugula in there, but we kept them out pretty good. And then we have a bed of Mizuna that's ready to go this week, I see there, and another bed of arugula. So, and we have, this is seed turmeric that we're growing here too, trying to produce enough seed for next year's crop. We have some really nice main crops planted, but we've learned that if we let them overwinter in the greenhouse, we get a little bit more seed production out of them, potentially. There's kind of always a strange area right there on the edge of the, a little hard to get to for the tractor on the very edge, you know. So, but we do most of our work in here with the tractor. We'll bring it in with the ROPS down and rototill and harrow. Do different work in the ground. And I think if you're looking at high tunnels here, my biggest recommendation is to get something you can use a tractor under, because I have 2 high tunnels that you can use a tractor under and they produce, and I have 1 high tunnel that you can't get a tractor into, and it's always out of the way and it always gets left behind. So try to always design it so you can get a small tractor in there, or at least a tractor without the ROPS device, you can still get in there.
Do you have any nematode issues in your high tunnels? Or?
So far so good, knock on wood. You know, this is the first pepper crop we've had in there for many years, ever. This is the first pepper crop ever. We've had tomatoes in here twice in the last, this was the second one made. This has had 2, I think 2 greenhouse tomato crops in 3 years, maybe. No, 1 greenhouse tomato crop. 2 over here, 1 over here, I think. That's how it went. I have to look back through my records, but when you're right next to each other, it's hard to remember which year that was. I think that was only 1 in this greenhouse, and that was over a year ago, like 18 months ago. We had tomatoes in there. And then we did a straight shot of greens. We had some cucurbits in there. We had a lot more greens, a lot more brassicas. So I think trying to incorporate brassicas into your rotation somewhere is the best way you can reduce those nematodes. You know, just burn them down with some really heavy mustard. Okay, so any other questions here in the greenhouse?
How are you cultivating with the close spacing on your greens?
Oh, good question. With a very small hoe.
Can you repeat the question?
The question was, how are we cultivating on these very small greens here? And we do have a small hoe, but a lot of it is handwork too. We only get about maybe 4 or 5 cuts out of the arugula in there. So by the time you see it starting to look like that, it's on its way out. We might have 1 more cut, really good cut, and then we're going to rototill it and do something else with it. You can see the 2 other beds on the left are looking even better, and then we're gonna we planted another 2 beds in the other greenhouse the other day, so we'll have more staggered in its successions. So any other questions here? A lot of hoe work, a lot of stirrup hoe or hula hoe.
What do you fertilize with here?
Fertilizer is primarily not Nature Safe, Microstart 60. That's our primary.
Are you certified organic here?
We are certified organic, yep. So Microstart 60 seems to be the best option for us in terms of the pelletized chicken manure. But we use any pelletized chicken manure you've got a good access to, or you can get a good price on. That's probably the best option. We use a lot of raw manure before cover crops, so we'll put down a bunch of raw chicken manure before we put down rye or something like that. And then sometimes before sweet corn, if you do about a month of pre-planting interval, you can really get sweet corn too with raw manure. So you can save money there. Sweet corn's already a really competitive crop to get out of the ground.
Do you have a high phosphorus issue on your soils?
Never experienced that yet. Hopefully, no. No, we just we do a lot of amendments with the cover crops themselves, or the crop manure in this place, the green manure. Especially with the brassicas, that's what it's all about. Is just keep on putting that brassica leaf into the soil, and as long as you don't over rotate your brassicas, we break it up with crash crops. With like the solanaceous crops and the cucurbits. But other than that, you can do a little bit of like fancy lettuces, and when the weather really gets bad, so you can break up your rotation even more with like Asteraceae. buckwheat does a good cover crop in the greenhouse. If you're going to be away from your farm for a little bit, definitely put a buckwheat cover crop in your greenhouse beds because it's going to help a lot.
Do you have a local source for organic buckwheat seed?
No, can't find any organic buckwheat seed anywhere in Florida. Like, I mean, maybe at like the pound level or so. I think we got a few minutes. We should keep on going. What's up, sir?
Where do you do your soil tests and how often?
Where do we do our soil test and how often? We do our soil test at IFAS, usually down at the university, and just as needed.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how we do it. Yeah. And really, once you know, so watch the funnel here. Let's walk around the farm this way. I think you guys want to go to the hibiscus patch to go picking. So we're gonna walk that way. I think that's gonna be one of the most fun places to go, and we'll see a lot of stuff en route.
It looks like you got a real nice slope.
Yeah, the farm actually drops tremendously. From the very top to the very bottom is over 40 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, so 4 stories. It's dropped.
Florida?
Yeah, and we're on a big hill surrounded by swamp. And so we have a swamp soil, but we're up on a hill. And it's a good situation, you know, for most things, except the water moccasins like to come up here and procreate. So that's not a good thing. So watch your step out here. On that note, it is a real big danger of getting bit by a moccasin out here. Now with like 40 or 50 of us, I hope that guy gets out of the way. But when you're walking alone out here, it's definitely a risk. So you can probably hop across here. It doesn't look too wet. We're gonna go ride all the equipment. So let's give a quick tour of the equipment yard for you guys who are really into tools. We got our tandem disc on your right. That's our primary tillage implement. We got a bar attached to the back of that flattens the field out. That's a flail mower, the next one in line. This little blue guy is a bed press. Not really in use much more. We have other ways of pressing beds now. The toolbar you see over here with the red and the black, that is our primary toolbar. We've got it set up for making beds or cultivating with the hillers right now. So we make these beds that you see out here. This is green beans that you're seeing coming up. Some varieties better than others. And those beds are all made with these modified plows. And it keeps the nut plants really nice and high, keeps the bed drying out as much as possible in this soil like I described. It's really heavy soil that needs a lot of drainage. So we put those beds up high, and we're gonna keep on walking this way. You can see the next crop is cucumbers we have out. We're stoked on the cucumbers right now, but downy could hit any day, so we don't want to jinx them. Don't look at them wrong right now. Don't do it. None of you guys go in those cucumbers. You're banned from that area. Everybody in this group, because I don't know where the downy you got.
Do you use Oxidate or anything? Keep it
What'd you
back?
say?
Do you use Oxidate or any
Yeah,
other kind
you can start being. We do a rotation. Oh, here, while we're standing right next to these tools, we might not get another view of them here. We'll go over the cucumber disease rotation a little bit.
I'm sorry.
This is a sweet potato plow, the big discs right in front of me. We basically scoop open the soil like ice cream, a spoon on ice cream, and you try to get all those sweet potatoes to fall off the top of your pile. It works really good when you have it calibrated right, and that's how we primarily get the potatoes out of the ground. The next bar, the green bar over here, is set up with some rolling cultivators. This is our primary cultivator equipment. We run most of our rows down with these cultivator gangs, and probably 2 or 3 times during their crop cycle, they'll get these cultivators at some calibration or another. So you can either go really close to the plant, or you can go far away from the plant. And you can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want, and all sorts of settings in between to accomplish the goal for the day, which is killing weeds. So the next bar we got is a scraper blade, or it's a box blade. We just use that to move dirt around, level out fields a lot of times. We need to bring dirt from one side to another. We use the S-tines over there for field cultivation, that a little bit deeper tillage than we can do with the other disc, and we'll get down there and scrape up all the clay and bring it into the surface soil with those with those S-tines, and also aerates and loosens up the soil. You can kind of keep a seed bed going for a few weeks and then seed right at the right time when the rain hits, and you can get out there and just seed into a nice fluffy bed if you prepare it right with the S-tines. Over on the very far end is another adjustable blade that we use for making ditches, and that's a very important tool around here. We do a lot of ditching, especially when it's raining like it is in this season, which is a good thing, but we just have to keep the water moving off the soil.
What size tractor are you using for this?
Most of these are used with a 5055E tractor. Oh, careful there, guys. Could somebody with their hands get that and put it back up there, the pile? Thank you so much. I don't want anyone to get caught on that. There's a million little hazards out here, so watch where you step. These are our cucumbers right here, and you're looking at the wetter end of the field, so focus more up about midway up to the top, and they look pretty good. So we're hoping that these work out for us in the next like 5 weeks or so before it gets too cold.
Did you direct seed or you transplant?
We did direct seed on these. Wow. So we do a lot, almost all of our cucumber crops, when it's warm enough, we do direct seed. The only time we do transplant is in the very springtime when it is too cold really to get the seed going in the ground. But I think they thrive a lot more without transplant shock. I think it's a big deal for cucumbers when they get transplanted, and you add Downy to that. Like I said, stay the heck away from those things. I'm serious. Everybody here could have Downy on them, and you guys could be ruining that right now. So Downy's a big deal here. It's what kills the cucumber industry. It kills all the cucurbit industry around here. So you know, they've already gotten some applications of a material called double nickel, which is a Bacillus subtilis. It's an inoculant, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get them through like the initial stages. And when you really need to control it, you can put out oxidate, like you said. It's expensive as all heck, you know. I don't know how much you're saving with it. And you can also put out like baking soda, and like once again, it's very ineffective, but you can do a little bit of good. You can basically sleep at night saying, I did something to save this crop. Yeah, I tried, okay?
Do you find the oxidate effective when you use it though?
Religiously. If you do it like every 3 days, you might be able to see some efficacy. Because as soon as you slip, it just kills everything. And so as soon as it's a wide open space for the new stuff to come on, it's going to come on more fast than ever, you know? So it's really not, I don't know. You can do it. You better make sure you're getting $4 a pound for those cukes and don't undercut the market.
Okay. You mean trellising on the cukes?
What'd you say?
You mean trellising with the cucumbers?
Never. That's a waste of time because they're going to die from Downy really soon.
Oh, okay.
Why would you want to trellis them if they're going to die from Downy? This is all about paying paychecks, and you can do it like you want to in a garden, and then you'll learn that there's only so many things you can afford to do in the field.
You have Downy in your basil?
Oh yeah, this has destroyed our basil this year. Again, with a Downy resistant variety. You guys wanted to see hay, so this is how we use hay out here. This is spoiled bahia, and it works good. We put it out there. It's a little weedy in this end because this is the drainage end of the field, and this planting is our hardest planting. We established these plants in July, so you really got to fight in July to get plants in the ground and take. And so we had a lot of replants here. You know, there's a lot of spaces that should have had peppers, they should have had Malabar, they should have had something in there, and they're still not growing with anything. We planted 2 or 3 times to try to fill in all the work that we did on the hay. So just a really hard planting, but I'm stoked on the eggplant because our first eggplant planting just died like last week. So now we got a nice second one, and it continues a good customer stream, the people that like it from us, and we want to make sure they have, you know, high quality even in the end of the season rather than having crappy stuff at the end of the season and remembering it that way. So anyway, keep on walking here. We're gonna get to the good stuff. This was okra right here. This is our first planting of okra for the season. It's now in the ground. We'll probably plant a cover crop here very soon. So buckwheat would be a good one as soon as we have time and as soon as it's ready. It tends to mess up just about anything that you put after it. So you definitely want to do a cover crop after the okra. Same thing with this field. We had half okra and we had half sun hemp. So the half that was sun hemp we'll use right now, and the half that was okra will get probably buckwheat cover crop here for the fall, and likely go into a rye cover crop for the spring, for the winter time, because rye is the only thing that really beats back the nematodes. Whoever was asking that before, was that you, Chris? And rye in the winter time is the only thing you can really do to keep the nematodes down, or rye or wheat or oats or some kind of grass. So yeah, this was a beautiful second crop of okra right here. We actually, this year, we had to destroy a lot of our okra because we were over picking it. We have to like basically cut it back down to what we can sell. And you don't want to be picking more than you can sell in the okra game. You can get destroyed in costs.
How do you irrigate your field?
How do we irrigate our field?
Hey John.
Right here.
Hey John, can you talk about your gun and
Yeah, let's walk that way, because I was basically getting right up to this point. You guys want... The question is, how do we irrigate? So you saw this red line, this big red hose come the whole way out here. That's a 4-inch lay flat line with quick attach couplers, banjo quick couplers they call them. And basically we leave that thing out here to feed this reel. It's like a big fishing reel, and you pull this sprinkler out, and the sprinkler basically winds itself back in with a turbine pump. And we were using it today right here. This is some of our new plants, and you guys come this way if you want it, because the hibiscus is this way. Watch your step. come on in front of the machine. It's probably better. We'll come on this side. All right, here, we might as well gather over here where people can pick on this plant. All right, who knows what hibiscus is? Help yourself. That's what you guys came out here for today. Here, I'll lead. There, put that off for feedback. All right, so what you want to do with the hibiscus? See, we've got a few rows that are better than others. Right here, start on these rows. So basically anything like this is really good and edible. So everything that's red is sour, and the little green part inside is like okra. Yep. So you guys can try it. It's really sour. It's used to make a juice, and we love it.
Is this before it flowers?
No, this is after it flowers.
After it flowers.
Which ones are edible?
It's kind of like a rose hip.
See, this is like the flower right here, but it was already open this morning. So it closes in the afternoon and it starts to fall down.
So I missed it, John. What are we picking?
Yeah, anybody who wants, pick
Take
yourself
it
some hibiscus. Basically this stage right here.
So you're just using it for Jamaica?
Yep. What's the best thing? We're gonna put some carrots in. So look around at the weed species that you have and what does really well there. Is it a grass or is it a legume or what is it that is overgrowing your other crops? And then try to find some crops that make you money in that weed family. Dollar weed, Apiaceae. It likes really wet stuff. You got too much water in your field. Get some animals to eat it.
Yeah, they poop it out and spread it around and grow it somewhere else.
Then focus on protein production. If that's what grows protein. So. All right, let's see. Let's go walk by the sun hemp, because that's always fun.
So you guys will hold until...
Yeah, what do you guys
down,
think?
right?
Yeah, until it comes down, we can run back. It's not that far. It looks like it's going to hold up a few more minutes.
Let's keep going.
Why don't we pause for a second?
Sure.
Does everybody know where they're going to get to the community market? It's literally a straight shot south on 301 when you get to the metropolis of Hawthorne. Thanks. To get to the market, if we have to run for the rain, you're going straight south on 301, which is a left out of here, and you go just under 8 miles to what's going to look like a thriving metropolis of Hawthorne, right? It's not very big, but you'll see what I mean. And there's 301 you'll go under, and I'm sorry, you go under Highway 20. Sorry, you're on 301, but it's the only overpass that you'll come to, and then it'll be another half a mile on the right. You'll see a sign for Hawthorne Community Market. The parking, there's a few spots right in front of the building.
Okay, cover crops by season. I've been talking a lot about the buckwheat. That's what we're seeding right now. That's our cover crop. It's too late to seed sun hemp. It won't grow fast enough. You can still do peas. You see these peas right over here? That's some nice pink eye peas. This is all sun hemp after we knock it down. So, is anybody here growing sun hemp right now? All right, Brian's on it. It's the best thing in the world in terms of organic agriculture in Florida. So, sun hemp. Well, it took a lot of work for us to disc that down. It takes a lot of passes, but you got to have some kind of mechanical way to get it down. It's not going to be a rototiller. It'll bind up a rototiller really quick. So you could grow it to this size right here and knock it down. That's what I would do.
I go even a little. I don't even go that big.
Yeah, it gets really pithy. But what'd you say, Jim?
Why is it the best thing in the world?
Well, you see how quickly it establishes the field. It really blocks out all the sun from other weeds. They don't get any hold on the land. It puts a lot of nitrogen in the soil. It's got rhizobium in its roots, which fixes nitrogen from the air, and it puts it into a form that the plants can use it. So, but mostly it's its vigor here. Its vigor is amazing, and it puts a lot of biomass out there. So, biomass is everything, and that's why we let it grow to be 12 feet. All that lignin and stuff, when it breaks down, makes nitrogen in the soil. It's kind of like a medium-term carbon source. You know, it's breaking down and it's constantly releasing nitrogen and carbon and like humic acids in the soil. Go ahead.
Do
you have any problems of this weed, of plant coming back as a weed?
No, the sun hemp does not set viable seed here in our experience. It must be lacking the critical pollinator. It's really from China, and so it doesn't have whatever the bee is or whatever the thing that pollinates it really well. Once in a while we find a viable seed pod, but it's never really been a problem coming back as a weed. And that's why I say it's one of the most amazing things to use for a cover crop. So it grows really vigorously, and it's controlled vigor, more or less. Once you knock it down, it's gone, you know? And it takes a lot of work to get it to go into the soil, basically. Especially if it's dry. It takes a lot of work to get it like tilled in or disked into really dry soil.
Where do you source your seed?
We get it from Hancock.
Okay.
So I think
that
that's
organic?
No, you can't find any organic in the size and the timing that we need right now.
Okay. Like, I guess you buy it back because it's $100 a bag.
It is. It's really expensive. Yeah, and it's, you know, it is what it is. We use it a lot. I think it gives you more than that in fertility and benefits.
What's your seeding rate?
Seeding rate's about bag an acre, 50 pounds per acre, maybe a little bit higher.
You drill or broadcast?
Broadcast, and then we reverse harrow. It's a little technique we've learned how to use those S-tines. Just go really slowly backwards. Not even that slowly, really lightly backwards. And that's all you gotta do to tap it in, basically. You can see an example up here where we're heading.
Do you only overhead water?
Pretty much. We've given up all drip tape. We've done all of our eggplants and peppers and stuff on overhead. I really am a non-believer in keeping the leaves dry all the time on most crops. It's not preventing any of the diseases that I've seen, you know, like, and even with the cucumbers, we've gotten to doing overhead on those. I don't see any different in downy with it or without it.
Do you see more weed pressure?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, but we have cultivators for everything except for, you know, some of the hay crops. And even the hay crops, we'll cultivate them. This is an old planting. This is our first planting of the eggplant that we're walking by here, and peppers. So we've kind of left it in the ground because the peppers keep on putting out some miracle peppers. We always love those. So we'll let them go for another little while. It's probably a huge bank of downy mildew for the basil that you see in there. That's unfortunately probably shooting us in the foot. This is one of our biggest blocks of sweet potatoes right now. About to walk by a good acre of sweet potatoes. So this is a Murasaki variety, the Japanese sweet potato. It's got the purple skin and white flesh. It's really nice to grow around here. This atmosphere must be a lot like Japan, or somewhere in southeast Okinawa, or wherever they grow this, because it has a lot of similarities in terms of the vigor and everything that we're looking at in the native weeds. We have a lot of native weeds in this family here, and so once again, you look at what weed grows really well here. The sweet potato vine grows really well here, so sweet potatoes do amazing here. The biggest problem was that's Murasaki. Murasaki.
When will you harvest it?
We are ready to harvest some of the blocks this week. They actually sized up really quick this year. Surprisingly, they're usually the longest of all the varieties to size up. So we also walked by some other yams, various orange yams we've got out here, and more Murasakis. Basically, this was our big Murasaki block. We kind of put all of our eggs in one basket with that variety.
When did you plant these?
These were planted, I think, the second week of June. Yeah. We've got this is buckwheat over here. If you guys look to your right, that's what a buckwheat cover crop looks like as it's coming up. Like I said, probably this week of the year, best cover crop you can have. And sooner or later, the frost will hopefully kill it back, but you never know. The frost didn't come until January last year, so it could keep growing for a while and flowering and setting seed out in your field to make weeds next year, because the buckwheat will come back as weed. Let's see here. We can look up.
Sweet potatoes from slips? Or?
Yeah, we do sweet potatoes from sweet potato sets, or from little plants, little stems.
What's the spacing on the sweet potato?
Sweet potato spacing we did was 12 inches this year. You can do 10 or 12 inches.
Oh, you mean between rows and within rows?
No, within rows. It's 60 inches between the rows. 60? Yeah, 60. These are wide beds. Now the sweet potatoes we cultivate with rolling cultivators, disc tillers, shovels. So it just depends on what you can do that day. But I feel like it's a pretty good stand. It's a really good stand, and the weeds are really not bad pressure out there at all. In fact, I've seen a lot of conventional fields that had more weeds than that. So in terms of organic sweet potatoes, we love to do them. We just try to really follow the rotation on there. So last year we had organic sweet potatoes over where the radishes are and the cucumbers are about to walk by. So it's way across the field. across the drainage, you know, and hopefully far away from the weevil. That's the biggest problem here is the weevil. So you got to basically scout your fields and know where you didn't have a lot of railroad vine or the morning glory vine, because that's where you're going to find the bank of it. But it's raining on you guys, so let's keep walking.
So while you're walking, earlier I forgot to introduce Tatiana Sanchez. Raise your hand, Tatiana. She is the new Alachua County Extension Agent.
All right.
Is this electric fence here for deer?
Yes. Oh, that was the deer question. Okay. Who asked about the deer and the rabbits? All right. So you got to be out here as top predator on your land and make sure that your crops don't get snacked by your deer, because they will destroy your business. They love it. They love to eat everything that we love the most, like peas, carrots, strawberries, green beans, you name it. They want it. So we've had multiple ways of keeping them under control here in just an area. We don't go outside our area. That's kind of where these are our crop areas, and I don't go hunt deer in the woods. That's not my thing. I don't have time to do that. It's cool sport, but I don't have time to sit in the deer stand. Out here, we do patrol with the night vision scope on a rifle, and that seems to be the best way to find them when they're active and to try to constantly keep more of a threat of the area. If they don't believe the area is being dominated by any alpha predator, then they're going to keep on coming to it. And unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. They'll get around any fence. They've gone through this electric fence a few times, and it's really sad when you wake up in the morning and you don't have $3,000 of strawberries, and they'll eat them down to the nubs and just destroy your whole season. So we've done electric. We've done dogs. We have a lot of dogs here, two dogs that go out in the fields, and they will stay in an area for the night if the deer are very active. You can't go out there and try to hunt every night, and so you can't go out there with the night vision scope every night. Some nights you're not feeling so hot and you don't need to be behind a firearm. So you need, the dogs do a lot of help. You can put them out with each other. I like to put them out, you know, so they have a companion out there, and they will keep the deer off of some of our crops when it's fair weather.
What about smaller things like rabbits?
Rabbits are a consolation prize when you go deer hunting. That's my best advice on that matter. They don't really get us too bad. If they were really bad in the area, you could trap them or something like that. But usually you see like one or two of them out here. If there's one of them giving you really a problem, you can kind of find them if you look for him every night. He'll be in the same place every time. So rabbits are a little bit of a nuisance, but deer really come in like heavy. Like they come in like 10 at a time.
A permit to night hunt deer?
We do have a depredation permit with Fish and Wildlife, and we only use it for our crop areas, like the undeveloped area out there. You know, that's not ours to hunt, you know. And so we hunt around our crops here, and like especially when they're on the peas, like you know where they're going to be. The peas that we walk by over there, if you guys notice, there are some deer nibbles. So that's where we've been active lately. And you have to be diligent, or else they will eat everything. It's a hard thing to say, but just being in this area, you guys got to take that to heart. You know, it's a hard game, and they're probably the most challenging thing out of the whole ecosystem here on how to grow. You know, diseases are one thing, weeds are another thing, pests are another thing. Insecticides, we didn't get to touch much on the bugs, but basically, as you guys saw around the farm, there's a whole lot of beneficial habitat for bugs out here, and that's how we maintain relatively low insect, pest insect populations. So we have a lot of ladybugs, lacewings, syrphid flies, everything that's helping us out. So if you guys got to get to your cars, I understand, but we can talk more about that later. But foster the beneficial insects and try to avoid your pest issues with that.
You use no organic insecticides?
We do when it comes time, you know, and you get the pest area right where they are at, you know, and you don't apply into your beneficial hedgerows and where all your beneficials are living, like in your flowering plants and stuff like that. Okay. So minimize the applications on any flowering plant for sure. Yeah, and know what time of day to put it out there, so that you're not targeting your beneficials, or you're not, you know, not overlapping on your beneficial population.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much.